Hello friends, welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, as you know that we are carrying a series on marketing management, and today we are going to talk on one of the interesting topics, as we always do. But before giving you the title, the name of the topic, I would like to discuss something very interesting with you, that all because due to acquisitions and mergers, the operations are becoming large and larger, and therefore we require strategies to handle these situations. Now, to handle these situations, as I said, we need something concrete. So dear friends, through this session today we are going to understand what strategies are required. So now it is able to predict what is the title of today's discussion. Today we would be discussing on emerging trends in distribution strategy, and for this discussion, dear friends, we have again with us in our studios Dr. Subhash Kakkar. Dr.
Hello.
Kakkar, through these EduSet lectures, gives us immense knowledge so that it becomes easier for us to get in-depth knowledge. It becomes easier for us to understand the various trends. So taking advantages of his experiences, let's try to understand this very topic, that is marketing trends, emerging trends in distribution strategy. Hello sir, welcome to the EduSet lecture.
Thank you and welcome viewers to today's lecture on emerging trends in distribution strategy, which is a part of our series on marketing management. As you know that a number of lectures have already been conducted, delivered, and today's topic is specific to distribution and the marketing channels. We will study the distribution strategy which are required to face the challenges of today's requirement. Strategy means if you want to achieve something, we will work on some strategy specific to achieving that particular goal. Same is the case of distribution strategy. We will have a particular strategy to achieve a particular goal. And what is that particular goal? And that goal is, since acquisitions, mergers have become part of our life, every day we are hearing news of mergers, and people and organizations are acquiring different businesses. The operations are becoming large and large, and it has become difficult to handle the large operations with traditional methods. As you know, e-marketing and internet marketing is common nowadays. When we talk of e-marketing, we require equivalent e-strategies also to handle the situations. Today we are going to discuss all those strategies which we must use to face the challenges, to keep our future strong and to keep our footing strong in the market, so that our market share keeps on increasing every day and we are able to satisfy the customers. As you know that time is very important and time is money. Wherever we can save time, we shall be using those kind of strategies, whether it is distribution channel, marketing mix, promotional strategy. We must be having those kind of strategies which save on time. Today we will also devote time on learning these strategies which must be taken care, and the tips we shall be learning so that we are successful in the long run. We go ahead of our competitors so that we learn from their mistakes, we learn from their strengths, and we build on our own strengths, and we surpass our weaknesses. And this is the aim of today's lecture, and this is regarding distribution strategies. And we shall be facing the challenges, and we shall be leaving our traditional methods behind. We will base our new strategies on the traditional methods with number of modifications in those strategies. Basics of distribution strategy. Key factors in the distribution strategy. Distribution strategy is a major concern for any company that depends on a product for its profit. We have our aim to gain profit, to increase and improve our bottom line, and we shall be manufacturing the product on one side. On the other side, we have consumer or the customer waiting for the product. And our aim is to satisfy the customer so that he keeps on buying our product regularly. So, whatever is there in the process of providing the product from the manufacturing stage to the stage where the product is needed is the distribution channel. Handling this distribution channel, we require a proper strategy, and this is called distribution strategy. That product must somehow get from the source of production, such as a factory, to the place where the customer can buy it. The process by which this happens is called distribution, and the analytical plan behind distribution is a strategy of the distribution or simply distribution strategy. Distribution network. A distribution of network is established by answering the questions of who, what, when, where, and how in terms of getting products to their end point. Business operators must discern who is responsible for sending and receiving the product and who will transport it. There are certain things which are to be seen in satisfying the customer. His satisfaction will be there when he receives the item in time. The item or the product starts from the factory and it is to reach to the customer. In between there is a channel, and channel is to be handled properly and effectively. All the players handling the channel must be synchronized so that with minimum efforts we get the maximum results, and the results are in the form of customer satisfaction. Now, they must also decide what products are transported to which outlets and whether there are different distribution strategies for different product lines. A company can be having a number of products. For those number of products, a different product lines will be there. The company is to see the product should be available to the customer in the right time, and all the products cannot be handled with one strategy and one distribution channel. So, one will have to take decision on providing proper channels to all the products, so that without wasting time we are able to provide the product to the customer. Someone must schedule when items will be sent from the production site, where they will be sent, and what work the marketing department will do to prepare for different outlets. And finally, the distribution coordinators will arrange the best way for the network to operate. There is a network of channels for different product lines. There are sources from which the products will move. A company may be having factories all over India or all over the world, and the customers are also spread all over India or all over the world, and the items are to be transported from the production points to the customer points, so that the cost is minimum and the time taken is minimum. There are different decision factors. Each of the outlets, each of the factories are having different capacities. Modes of transport from one factory to another market are different, and the market requirements are also different. So, one is to schedule the activities in such a way the items are transported from the factory to the different markets in minimum time and minimum cost, so that we are able to satisfy the customers to the fullest extent. Local access. In terms of a strategy, local access refers to a traditional brick and mortar location to ship produced items to. This means factories send items to stores where people go to shop for them, to take them home, and it is still the most common way to distribute things to consumers, and this is called local access. Remote access. On the other hand, we have another item which is called remote access. Under this remote access, which is the opposite of local access, remote access includes catalog shopping or online ordering, which is in effect any arrangement in which customers order from their homes, pay by credit or debit card, and have the items delivered to them. One can add another way of payment also. Cash on delivery is also included, whether it is a credit card, whether it is a debit card, or cash on delivery on receiving the item. If we make the payment, it is called cash on delivery, and this is under remote access. A strategy for distribution must take into account that though local access is more common, increasing numbers of people find remote access to products to be much more convenient. Now we see that people are shifting from local access to remote access. People order the material online, they receive the product through couriers, and this is called remote access. It allows them access to products that must be distributed without requiring that they leave their homes or make extra trips out. A remote access based strategy bypasses the expenses associated with local access distribution. There is a difference between local access and remote access. Nowadays, remote access has become easier to operate. One need not go to the market to get the products. You order online and get the material while you are sitting at home. As already discussed, you make the payment by credit cards, debit cards, or cash on delivery. They are also able to pay with cash. Local access also includes orders that are placed through catalogs or online shopping sites, but must be picked up by customers. It is any situation in which customers go to a retail outlet and leave with an item they have purchased. Again, I will emphasize the difference between two concepts, local access and remote access. In local access, you may place the order through catalogs or online, but the purchaser will have to visit the outlet, collect the material and make the payment. On the other hand, remote access, you order online, receive the material while you are sitting at home, make the payment through debit card, credit card or cash. The future of distribution strategy. This is part of our emerging trends of distribution strategy. More and more companies are finding that neither local access nor remote access distribution strategies will be sufficient to guarantee profitability in the future. So, in future we require something different, maybe combination of both local and access. We will see what is required to handle the future requirements. Instead, the newest model incorporates both distribution strategies. The most successful retailers find that they can offer their inventory through both online and in-store means, satisfying customers of different needs and shopping styles. As we already discussed, one will have to have both the strategies available, local access and the remote access. Wholesalers will have to keep the inventory, and then from that inventory the items will be supplied to the people, to the customers, to the consumers, to the point where these are required, and they will also have to give the items to the people who visit their outlets. We will have to keep both the strategies alive while we are operating. These types of strategies are among the most important aspects of any business model. Without a clear idea of how it will get its product from creation to sale, no company can be truly successful. One will have to understand the implications and the criticality of the operation, whether it is local or remote access, or we are keeping both alive. We have to remove the problems being faced in both the strategies. The best companies will offer their customers a place to go to buy their products, as well as offering to deliver the products right to their doors. And in the end, a both and approach to this type of strategy is providing and proving to be the most profitable. Combination of both strategies, local as well as remote, is proving a beneficial strategy to the organizations. If we say only local, then half of the customers who prefer to buy the local access method will come to buy the product, and the customers who like to have the remote access operations will not buy our products. So, at that stage our sales will get reduced. And similarly, on the other hand, other aspect is also possible. If the remote access is being offered, we will retain the customers who like to have remote access, then we shall be reducing our customer base because we are not offering local access. So, we will have to have both the concepts, local access and remote access, applicable, so that we keep on increasing our customer base every day, so that we shall be increasing our sales and we will have more and more customers in future. Now, it does not really matter how big or small your company is, you need to have a successful distribution strategy. Your distribution channel is the way that you deliver your products and services to your customers. Distribution strategy is a must in modern operations, because unless we have a goal in front of us and we have a proper planning to achieve that goal, and that proper planning is called the strategy. Unless we have a proper strategy, we shall not be able to achieve effectively the goal which we want to achieve. And we are talking about distribution channels, that is why we call it distribution strategy. Having a well thought out distribution strategy means that you can get your products and services to your customers as efficiently as possible. A solid distribution strategy covers many different factors, but here are some specific tips that can help you develop a good distribution strategy for your company. On one side, we want to satisfy the customer, and our operations are becoming big and big. We want to have specific strategy for distribution. Now, we will discuss all those points which are relevant to take a decision on the distribution strategy. Tip 1. Now, we are considering how to handle the situation what we are facing as far as distribution channel is concerned. Tip 1, your distribution strategy should consider your business model. The first thing you have to consider when you are setting up your distribution strategy. And while considering the distribution strategy, we must face the requirement of the customer in front of us. I will repeat the tip 1. Your distribution strategy should consider your business model. The first thing you have to consider when you are setting up your distribution strategy is your business model. This is what is required. When we are having a strategy for distribution, we must see what is our business strategy. Business strategy takes the top priority. Out of this flows the distribution strategy. Business strategy will come from the vision of the company, mission of the company. From the vision and mission of the company or of the organization, we will have objectives and the targets. Based on the business strategy, when we have fixed our business strategy, we will decide our distribution strategy, and this will positively flow from the business model which we are going to follow in future. This business model will dictate us to have a specific distribution strategy aligned with the business policy of the organization. Your business model greatly affects your marketing strategy. Who is your target audience? What kind of products do you sell? What is the distribution plan for your competitors? Are your products fragile? Do you manufacture your own products? Where is your company located? Where are your customers located? There are so many questions which are to be replied before taking a decision on the distribution strategy. Here, looking into your own strengths and the questions which you can answer on your own. The questions like what kind of product you want to handle from your product lines, whether it is robust product or fragile product, where it is to be transported, where is the location of its use, where is the market, and then we have to see where our factories are located, because from factories to the markets the products are to be transported. When we are having our own strengths analyzed, we have to see what competitors are doing, what are their strengths, what are the things they are following, what are the policies they are following, what are the strategies they are following, and we have to take lesson from their strategies We have to take a lesson from their successes, we have to take lessons from their failures also. And based on these, we will have our own strategy made, so that we take guard against the failures and we reap the results of our strengths as far as distribution strategy is concerned. All these questions have to be carefully considered before you can set up a strong distribution strategy. Your business model should be carefully considered first, so that you can have the right frame of mind regarding your distribution strategy. As we have already discussed, the distribution policy or the distribution strategy must be aligned with the business strategy of the company. Business strategy is more fundamental than the distribution strategy, because distribution strategy follows from the business strategy. So, we must have the business model, our business model in front of us while taking a decision on the distribution channels. Tip 2, know your potential distribution partners. Whenever you are setting up your distribution strategy, you will want to think about possible distribution partners. Through careful research, you will be able to locate the individuals and companies who can help you distribute your goods and services to your customers. And this guide is to look after your partners. You have to see your partners as business partners, partners in the profits, partners in the operations. You cannot have the channel operators as isolated people. Channel operators, distribution channel operators must be considered as your partners of the business. Only then you can reap the results of their efforts. Their efforts will always be directed towards achieving the goal of your own organization. Unless you keep them in the loop, inform them your own strategies, you cannot achieve the results. So, you have to consider the model operators, the channel operators as your partners. A great place to start is by carefully looking at the distribution partners of your top competitors. Who are they using to distribute their products? What companies and individuals are they using to help move their products and services across the country efficiently? Here a guide is there, and that guide is, you see the operations of your competitors also. When you see the operations of your competitors, you will come across the partners or the channel operators, what the competitors are using efficiently. You try to get the information regarding those partners, get their strengths, and see whether your own distribution strategy can be handled with those partners which are being used by your competitors. If the answer is yes, then contact those partners, offer them something more than the competitor, get their services, and start your own operations with your own business model. Definitely, you will start getting the results much better than your competitors. By carefully selecting your distribution partners, you can be sure that your distribution channels are free from that common problems that occur when you have poor distribution partners. On one side, we are discussing poor distribution partners. On the other side, we have efficient distribution partner, and these efficient channel partners are also working for the competitors, and we have also analyzed the successes and the failures of our competitors, where they failed and where they succeeded. Failures we are trying to avoid, successes we are going to adopt. Then we are going to have only successful partners in our operations so that we can handle our distribution strategy more effectively. Tip 3, your price point affects your distribution strategy. Probably the largest factor that affects your distribution strategy is your product price point. Here, we cannot ignore the price level at which we are operating. That is very important. Price issue is very sensitive. Slight increase in the price will reduce the customer base, and we have to see that at what price level we have to sell the products. To achieve that price level, we have to have our strategy so that we can have the minimum cost as far as distribution channels and the distribution strategy is concerned. So, price is very important factor in satisfying the customer. How you price your product and how your customers pay for your product has a big impact on your distribution costs. If your product is expensive to ship, it will greatly affect how you deal with your distribution partners. Is your product fragile? On one side, we will devote time and discussion on the price. What is the price of your product? If the price is high, we will try to cut cost on every corner. We will try to cut cost on the transportation. We will try to cut the time taken by the transport department for transporting the product from the factory to the customer. We have to see that every level we are able to reduce the cost. You may have to plan for a certain amount of breakage which could drive your price point up. Your price point will greatly affect your distribution strategy because your price point is often directly tied to your distribution costs. Here we are discussing the cost involved in distribution must be minimum. One is the direct transportation cost for taking the product from factory to the customer. Then there are other related costs also. If the product is fragile, your breakage cost will also count. If the product is perishable, then the deterioration cost will also come into picture. So, all these costs we have to look into it while deciding the distribution strategy for the product. Tip 4, logistics must be considered when outlining your distribution strategy. There are many different critical logistics that you have to consider when you are distributing your products and services. Certain things like the distance from your customers to your warehouse or the types of products and services you sell are critical logistics that must be outlined. Make a list of critical logistics that affect the delivery and quality of your products and make sure that you factor these things into your overall distribution strategy. As we already discussed, we have to see the nature of our product, whether it is bulky, whether it is solid, whether it is voluminous, whether it is fragile, whether it is perishable, whether it requires specific environment conditions while transporting, conditions like air conditioned wagons. So, one is to be careful in deciding distribution strategy, because if we ignore these points, we shall be adding to the cost of transportation. And we are discussing how to reduce the cost of transportation. We will have to see all these points while deciding the distribution channel. Tip 5, know who is in control and what efficiency metrics are being gathered. In order to maintain a good distribution strategy, you need to know who is in control, who is responsible for accurately measuring the efficiency of your distribution channels, who is responsible for making sure that your products and services are being delivered to your customers as carefully as possible so that quality is not compromised. When we are taking a decision on the distribution policy, distribution strategy, we cannot ignore the quality aspect of the product. Quality should not get deteriorated from the point of manufacture to the point of use. In between, the distribution channel is the only factor present. So, our distribution channel must safeguard the quality of the product. By making sure you know who is in control and what metrics they are using to measure efficiency, you can be sure that your product distribution strategy is consistently improving. A strong distribution strategy comes from careful planning. By carefully considering these 5 tips, you can be sure that your distribution strategy is strong and that your products and services are reaching your customer on time. Products and services are reaching your customer as quickly as possible while maintaining the highest quality and efficiency. In business, distribution strategies are the process of making a company's product or service available to the consumer either directly through means such as online website, an actual storefront, or the dreaded telemarketer, or indirectly through multiple resellers. Nowadays, our strategy must take into account the telemarketing. Online purchases are common nowadays. We'll have to make our online telemarketing, marketing through internet and websites very strong. When we are keeping our internet marketing strong, we'll have to keep our traditional methods also very strong, because the customers use both the concepts, traditional methods as well as internet marketing. So, we'll have to keep both equally strong so that quickly we are able to deliver the items to the customers without spoiling the quality of the product, keeping in mind that the cost or the price of the product is to be kept at a minimum level. Only thing we have in control is now the distribution cost. We have to keep it at minimum level. Important to the process are channels and intermediaries. Intermediaries are organizations and individuals that are involved with making the product or service available for consumer consumption. Channels are sets of these intermediaries classified by how many there are between the producer and the consumer of a particular good or service. Oftentimes, most organizations will use a mix of several different channels so that they can reach a larger potential consumer base. Here we are discussing in providing the product to the consumer. In between, there will be a number of intermediaries, and these intermediaries, when considered as partners of the business, will work for the organization, and we have to see that the number of intermediaries are to be kept at minimum level and their operations are to be strengthened so that they do all kinds of jobs from promotional activities to the transportation of the products. All these jobs must be carried out by intermediaries and effectively. So, the cost is minimum. Without wasting time, we are able to provide the product to the customer. There are three different types of distribution strategies. A progression that depends on how many intermediaries are used. Different distribution strategies. The first one is intensive distribution. A distribution strategy that sees a business's product sold in as many outlets as possible. It is used primarily for goods that are appealed to a broad range of consumers such as basic supplies, magazines and snack foods. And for these kind of products we shall be using intensive distribution. The second one is selective distribution. This distribution method relies on fewer intermediaries while still maintaining a respectable amount and is used primarily for more specialized goods such as automobiles and the computers. Selective distribution is used only for those products where volume is less. If the volume is less, the items like refrigerators, items like TV sets, items like automobiles, we shall be having selective distribution. So, here is the difference between intensive distribution and selective distribution. And third one is exclusive distribution, a strategy wherein a business selects a limited few intermediaries as partners. Oftentimes, these intermediaries will sell only the business's products to the exclusion of everything else. This distribution strategy is typical of high-end luxury products like sport cars and designer clothes. Here, the number of customers are limited, items are selective like designer clothes, limited edition products, and as these are limited edition products and these are also available in limited quantities and these are required by only limited customers. When we have limited customers, limited supplies, we shall be having exclusive distribution strategy. Now, we will discuss channels of distribution. On one side, we have manufacturer, on the other side, we have consumer. Direct selling, consumer gets the material or the products directly from manufacturer, the first stage. Second is agent comes in between, manufacturer sends the material to the consumer via an agent. Third one, manufacturer provides the material or the products to consumer through retailer. Fourth one, Fourth model is manufacturer sends the material to wholesaler, wholesaler sends the material to reseller, reseller sends the material to retailer, and the retailer sells the material to consumer. Next one is manufacturer sends the material to the retailer through an agent, and the retailer sells the material to the consumer. Last but one, manufacturer sends the material to reseller via an agent. Reseller sends the material to retailer, and retailer in turn sells the material to consumer. The last model is manufacturer sends the material to franchisor, and from the franchisor material goes to franchisee, and from the franchisee consumer purchases the items, and different channels of operation as far as distribution strategies are concerned we have discussed right now. One has to see these different channels, adopt one or more than one as the case may be, so that operations are effective and the customers get maximum satisfaction. Match your distribution channels to your product or service. When we say that you have to match your distribution channel to match your product or service, we have to match our distribution channel and the distribution strategy so that it is aligned with the business policy, business strategy of the organization. Business strategy being the most fundamental. Everything else follows from the business strategy. So is our distribution strategy, which will be aligned with the main business strategy of the organization. It's fairly easy to change periodically some of your marketing tactics and strategies. For example, you can generally change your pricing, packaging and product mix with a minimum of difficulty. The decision on how you choose to distribute your product or service, however, is much more difficult to change once made, and distribution affects the selection and use of all your other marketing tools. In the product, if you want to change the price, it is very easy. If you want to change the packaging, we can change it very easily. But if you want to change the distribution channel partner or the distribution channel model, it is rather difficult to do that. So, we have to see the distribution channels and the distribution partners, and the distribution model must be selected carefully so that need for its change does not occur during the entire life of the product. If we have to change these models, the partners, it becomes difficult and it is very expensive also, and it is also demoralizing. So, one has to be very careful in taking a decision on the distribution strategy. There is a wide variety of possible distribution channels, including retail outlets owned by your company or by an independent merchant or chain, wholesale outlets of your own or those of independent distributors or brokers, sales for compensated by salary, commission or both, direct mail via your own catalog or flyers, telemarketing on your own or through contract firm, cyber marketing, surfing the newest frontier, broadcast and cable TV, direct marketing and home shopping channels. All these are available nowadays, and we can have our distribution strategy based on the current trends of the market. Distribution choices of a service business follow the same lines as those for a physical product. As far as service industry is concerned, everything is same as we have for the physical product. For example, financial planning services may be offered through printed materials such as books or newsletters sold at retail by consultants, delivered electronically by computer or relayed by phone, fax or mail. Similar strategies are to be followed for service industry also. We can sell the products through magazines, emails, fax messages or SMS. To select the optimum distribution options, you must identify how your direct competitors' products are sold. Examine the cost of your channel and sales for options. Determine which distribution options must match your overall marketing strategy. Competitors' distribution channels. As a starting point, make a list of any competitors that could compete directly with you for the same customer. Then divide these competitors into categories based on the distribution channels they currently use. The result will be a picture of which channels are being successfully used in your type of business and location. When you have listed the number of competitors in the business, then also make a list of distribution channels they are using and the partners they are using. Then segregate these competitors who are having the similar models which you are having. Then you will have limited competitors who are having the business identical to your own business, or the business process identical to your own business process, or the distribution strategy identical to your own distribution strategy. Then count their strengths, count their weaknesses. Then try to incorporate similar positive points in your business strategy or the distribution strategy, and take guard against the failures what they had in the past while operating their own business. To illustrate its use, the example of a local one-man architect business which provides residential home design and competes indirectly with all architectural design firms and home building supplies can be taken. These include large firms that do both industrial and residential designs and suppliers of home building kits, that is log houses and A-frames. However, the firm in question, direct competition is a small group of similar firms that specialize only in local area home designs and remodeling. A list of competitors broken down by the different local distribution channels they use include 3 simple but fundamental rules should guide any sales or marketing strategy. But many companies are missing the mark. According to MIT senior lecturer and author Jonathan Bernes, who offered the following pillars of strategy in a recent MDM webcast, Selling for Profit. Turbocharge your profit growth through market development and sales management. Bernes is the author of Islands of Profit in a Sea of Reading, and we have to learn certain things from this article also. It's all about the customers, a classic error of marketing. Many companies make is to assume that a portfolio of good products that sell reasonably well equals a terrific value proposition. As Bernays explains, there is much more to a great value proposition than a good product selection and a history of sales success. Second point is, strategy is defined by what you say no to. One size does not fit all. So forcing a bad product fit into a customer is bad business. And we can have more from this article. Don't be everything to everyone. So one particular strategy, one particular product is liked by one particular customer. We cannot have the same strategy for all the customers. We'll have to tailor make the strategy looking into the interest of different customers. You have to be the best at something. According to Bernays, the greatest companies in every industry have defined their industry. Good examples are also available, and the viewers can look into those examples themselves. So today, viewers, we discussed the current trends in distribution strategy, and our topic of discussion was emerging trends in distribution strategy. We discussed the distribution strategy in the 21st century. We also discussed the tips we must take into account while taking a decision on the distribution strategy. I want to tell my viewers that for preparing this lecture, lot of efforts have been made, lot of help has been taken from the material available on the internet. Lot of books have been studied to make this lecture a success. I am thankful to all those people whose work I have taken into account in preparing this lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much for giving us a prolific session on emerging trends in distribution strategies, where we studied about the current trends in distribution strategy, as well as we talked about the strategies in context to the 21st century. Dear friends, if you have any queries, then you can mail us at info.cc@nic.in. We would be meeting again and would be discussing on one another topic under the series Marketing Management very soon. Till then, take care. Goodbye.
Thank
you,
you,
sir.